Hello folks, so Moonlighter 2 is a sequel to Moonlighter 1, and you expect the sequel to keep most of the core systems. That's kinda the case here. You still explore dungeons to gather relics, which you bring back to town to sell to the townsfolk. The main loop is still here, and if you like the hybrid shop management with simple combat, then Moonlighter 2 can satisfy your itch. But if you played the first game and expect most of it to feel the same, then prepare to be re-educated, because a bunch of things are different this time around. Some changes are for the better, while others may be questionable. Let's start with combat, which is half of the core gameplay. While the combat is simple, with each melee weapon having a regular attack and a special attack button, there is a decent amount of variety among the 4 weapon types. You get the balanced short sword with fast cuts and a circular swing similar to a princess saving hero. For even faster attacks, we got the gauntlets that lets you aura foes with a bunch of quick punches, which charges a berserk meter that you can unleash for a short power-up. On the other spectrum, there's the good old greatsword with a slow 3-hit combo. This does a nice chunk of damage and reduces sharpness with each hit. The special on this metal slab increases the sharpness, which equates to more damage from your normal swings. Just think of it like a weapon from Monster Hunter, but without all the shoulder tackles. Finally, we got the spear archetype that is farther reaching and quicker than the greatsword, but with less oomph. Each poke leaves behind spearheads on the ground, which you can recall towards you with the special button, and it damages foes along its path. And each weapon type has a bunch of different branches you can unlock. These are not direct upgrades per se, instead they offer altered playstyles. Take the greatsword for example. Instead of your normal swing decreases sharpness, it builds it, but in exchange, your sharpness does not increase your overall damage. However, the special does do more than the regular version. And each of your melee hits will charge up ammo for your gun. Did I mention you have a gun? Okay, so there's a gun, and it's more of a utility to cancel flying enemy attacks and drop them to the ground instead of just pure damage. And there's also different guns as well. I unlocked 2 so far, the default one which shoots single bullets and the second one which shoots a charged laser beam. That does a lot more damage, but it does take time to charge, so that's your trade-off. And we have all your classic RPG upgrades. Each weapon can be leveled up to improve its passive bonus, so if you find one that you like, then just keep pumping it up. You can also increase your armor's effect, get more HP, potions, get some free buffs or perks at the start of each run, and all the normal stuff. And here's a major change from the first game. Instead of an overhead Zelda-like dungeon to explore, we now have the roguelike pathing where you pick between getting treasures or buffs with each encounter, and this little map should be very familiar with anyone that plays a bunch of roguelike indie games. And for normal combat, the view is now 3D isometric instead of the stylized Zelda art style from the first game. I prefer the original's aesthetics more than this new style, along with the older camera angle. The worst part of combat now is not being able to see your character or incoming attacks when your view is blocked by decorations in the stage. Yeah, I guess I could just run back and bait the enemies until they get to a more clear area, but I want to keep the offense going. But besides this main complaint, the combat is pretty satisfying. Over time, you'll learn enemy attack patterns and how to counter each one, and you get to gain mastery over the fights. At the end of each stage, you can either pick a buff where you unsurprisingly have to pick one of 3 options. If you have played any other roguelites within the last 5 years, then you know exactly what to expect from here. The more unique reward are the relics that you take back to sell. You have a limited backpack, so you cannot grab every relic from a run. Instead, you have relics of different values, and some even have curses. The curses depend on the area you're exploring, but most of them involve destroying other relics or upgrading their quality to make them sell for more coins. This is pretty much an inventory management puzzle to utilize the curses effectively, so you end up with high quality rare loot instead of a bag full of common junk. And there are 2 ways to bring back all this loot. One is to use a free town portal, Hearthstone Warp, which will end the run but let you keep everything in your backpack. The other way is being forced to return due to taking on more than you can chew. You still keep all the items in your backpack with this method, but they lose half their quality, so it is not the recommended way to return. Now we can talk about the other primary gameplay, the shop management. All the relics you bring back from the dungeon can be sold to the townsfolk. At first, you have no idea the value of each item, but that's part of the charm. You have to guess a price to set, but the color or rarity is a good indicator on the price. As the customers examine your supply, they will let you know how they feel about this price, then you can increase it or decrease it the next time until you reach that perfect sweet spot. This system is not really punishing for getting the wrong price, since you can just list it for a little lower right after. Which means there's no real reason to look up the prices online and ruin the fun and surprise. And you can also unlock extra furniture, which can increase the amount the relic sells for. It's a pretty simple system, but holds a lot of charm if you are into the shop management type of games. And you can use your hard-earned coins to upgrade your equipment to make runs easier and dive into the new dungeons for additional challenges, and that's the main gameplay loop. Go in the dungeon, do the roguelite mumbo jumbo, get out with a bag full of goodies, then take advantage of the townsfolk by making them pay high premiums for relics that probably does not do anything. Overall, I am enjoying the game, minus the couple of negatives from not being able to see enemy attacks or in combat, and since this is early access, there was a couple bugs that I encountered that pretty much bricked a run by just freezing, and there's no way to save during a run. You pretty much just have to cancel it and pretend it never happened. So that is bad, but hopefully those bugs get fixed along the way. The relic backpack management puzzles are a nice break from combat, and it is fun navigating around the curses to get the most reward possible, and winding down each dungeon loop with a relaxing vendor sequence revitalizes me for the next run. Once again, the game is in early access, so some of the systems are not yet implemented. After putting a dozen hours into the game, you will notice that the variety and synergy of the weapon and buff combos are kinda limited, which I hope they will be fleshed out and get more stuff added as the devs continue to work on the game. At the current state, I give this game 3.5 shiny coins out of 5, mainly because I really like shop management games like Discounty and Racketeer. However, if you are just here for the roguelike dungeon crawling genre, then I will wait for a sale since the core combat mechanics alone is not enough to carry this game. Anyway, thanks for watching and have fun out there.